The Nikon Z6 specifications look promising, but is it aimed at the RP or the R6? Let's get into it.
Delivering informative capability-based reviews and tutorials on camera gear, filming techniques, and content creation.
Hi, I'm Simon and this is The Ordinary Filmmaker. If you're new here, subscribe to get notification of new videos like this one as they come out so you don't miss any news like this. And all the links to everything I talk about in this video, including gear discussed, are placed in the description down below. But before getting into today's topic, just a quick note, I'm giving away this Canon 50mm f1.8 STM lens. Contest ends July 31st. Subscribe to my channel for your chance to win. That's it. More details can be found in the description down below. I had just published a video early this morning saying we had not heard from Nikon in a while. No sooner had I published that video than I get notification from Rishi Raj that Nikon has leaked specifications for the Nikon Z5. Oh, and one other thing from that video, I incorrectly stated that Japan Industrial Partners is a division of Sony. I'm sorry about that. They are not. They have done business with Sony in the past, but they are definitely not a division of Sony. I hate making mistakes. Anyhow, back to today's news. The Nikon Z5 isn't a Canon R6 or a Sony a7S III wannabe. It isn't. It just isn't meant to be. The Nikon Z5 is a low-priced, entry-level, full-frame, mirrorless camera designed to compete with the same level of cameras like the Canon RP. Now with that in mind, let's take a look at the specs. It gets the same electronic viewfinder as the Z6, but doesn't have a top-level LCD. It's well-constructed with a magnesium alloy body, more than we'd expect from an entry-level camera. It beats the R6 with a 24 megapixel sensor, but we'll see why that isn't very helpful for video specs or video users, as we'll see in the next slide. Now the Z5 does have IBIS. It also has dual SD card slots. I think it's really great that we're seeing cameras, full-frame mirrorless cameras, that are making dual SD card slots and IBIS standard in their cameras. Now it can be charged with USB port and has the same autofocus system as the Z6, which performs very, very well. I wouldn't say it's as good as Canon or Sony, but it's a very close third. As Canon did with the RP, video specs, well, this camera isn't a video-centric camera. There is no slow motion option in 4K. Nikon rumors wasn't clear if they're referring to no slow motion in 4K or if it was camera wide. I'm willing to go out on a ledge here and assume that they're speaking of 4K only. But the most disappointing aspect is that 1.7 times crop in 4K. This is way more than we get with an APS-C, which is 1.5 to 1.6, depending on the manufacturer. And even the recently released Canon 90D, an APS-C sensor camera, can shoot full sensor-wide 4K and 1080. That larger sensor I spoke of earlier is the reason for the crop. Now to save on cost, power, and processing, Nikon chose to crop the sensor rather than choosing oversampling. Cropping is the easiest, the cheapest, the most energy efficient method to grab video off the sensor, but it's also the worst for video quality. Again, this is an entry-level full-frame mirrorless camera. These video specs don't make it a bad camera, not at all. Like the Canon RP, the Z5 appears to be more aimed at the ordinary photographer that use video occasionally rather than ordinary filmmakers. The Z5 can burst up to 6 frames per second, but I'd like to see the results with continuous autofocus. They'll likely be lower. But the real news here is July is going to be a very busy month for announcements. We already have Canon on July the 9th announcing the R5 and the R6. Sony is expected to make their announcement to the late end of July, and now it looks like Nikon's going to be making an announcement too. Will the Z5 be the only announcement? Or will it be a package deal? Will Nikon announce the Z8 as well? What do you think? Will we get the Z5 and the Z8 announcement in mid to late July? Will this cause Sony to push into August? What do you think of the R5? What do you think about the Z5? Let me know in the comments section down below. Now in this episode of Behind the Scenes, I just want to talk briefly about the error I made this morning. I hate making errors. Whenever I see I've made a glaringly obvious error, it really irritates me. I wanted to reshoot it. I couldn't. This is a working day. I'm shooting on my lunch break right now. During my break time around 10 o'clock, 10:05 or whatever it was, I tried to edit the video and quickly upload it, but unfortunately I fixed one piece and not the other, so I deleted that. This has got to be the most frustrating thing about trying to produce content, especially if you've got a day job. Find the time necessary to do everything you need to do to double check everything, check your sources, and hopefully not make a mistake. I don't want to make mistakes. I'm not here just to get clicks and views. I want to produce good content. I want to get better at what I'm doing. Yes, this is a hobby for me, but I really enjoy this, and you guys are listening to me. I've got over 8,000 subscribers now, which means you value what I have to say. So getting that correct is job one for me. I'm sorry, it is frustrating, and I will continue to improve. I'll continue to check my sources more. Certain sources I already don't use anymore because I found them to be unreliable, but today's source is pretty good, and I'm pretty happy with the information we have on the Z5, or Z5 as you may call it. So we'll just have to see how that pans out, but it's going to get very exciting. There's going to be a lot of news coming out lately. This probably is my last video for today because I've just got a very busy afternoon and I've got other appointments. But thank you so much for watching The Ordinary Filmmaker. If you'd like your chance to win the 50mm f1.8, all you have to do is subscribe. That's it. At the end of July 31st, I'll go ahead and download everybody who's subscribed, and then I'll do a random generation to pick a winner. Thanks so much for watching The Ordinary Filmmaker. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you for watching The Ordinary Filmmaker. All equipment used and notes are placed in the description box, show more box, or down arrow thingy next to the title on the mobile app.